We'll start with Grant Ramey, then Rob Lewis.
Kim, has Jaden been practicing? Do you have any idea on his status for Saturday?
Well, we were off yesterday. Typical to what we would do on a Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday slate. He's day to day. He's been spending time with Chad, our trainer, and G, our strength coach.
Coach, Rick was really hot, as I'm sure you're aware, after the game on Tuesday. Just on the scale of brutality from 1 to 10, how would you rate yesterday's film session?
We'll watch film today. Again, yesterday was a scheduled players' day off. I think it's good to kind of let everyone, players included, kind of let the game happen, watch it on film. I always believe things are never as good as they seem. Things are never as bad as they seem. We've all watched the film multiple times, as we're preparing for Missouri. We'll scrub this film out today and move on and see areas we have to get better in, no different than we would after a win, after an ugly win, after a great win. Again, when you meet with triumph and disaster, you want to treat those two imposters just the same.
Well, in regards to that, watching the film, did you think it was more of your guys executing X and O's or, effort and intensity?
Definitely effort and intensity, without question. I think those things are married, right? I think effort and intensity at this level of basketball and beyond are married with execution. It's just so that the point of effort and intensity are the cost of admission. Like, we can't even talk X's and O's if you don't have that. Just like our defense is married to our offense. We can say we only scored 49 points, but I'd say it's because we gave up 14 offensive rebounds. We couldn't secure clean rebounds to play offense. So yeah, it's clear. And after film today and after practice, it'll be clear the areas that we need to improve in.
Ben McKee.
Coach, how would you assess the way y'all handled ball screens, defending ball screens against Florida, just hedging and maybe going under the screen, over the screen? Just what was your philosophy there in that particular game, and how do you feel like the guys handled it? It seemed like Florida was giving you all some issues there.
Yeah, our ball screen defense wasn't as good as it's been in the past. It was less about the point of the screen and more about the three guys off the ball, pinching the floor, tagging rollers. They did a great job. They did a great job mixing up fake screen, real screen, and their ball screen offense was good for them. And there's areas we can improve as a team in.
Rob Lewis and Vince.
Coach, you may not be able to answer this, but Rick, after the game, seemed emphatic that he was going to shake things up as far as the lineup. Do you have any idea what that might look like?
We've discussed some things, but that's ultimately coach's decision. And, bigger than coach's decision, I think it's the guy's decision. And we'll see today and tomorrow in practice what that looks like. I think that should be the mindset. And I've told the guys this all the time. Once the season starts, when practice or training camp is over and the season starts, I don't think any player on a team should be satisfied with their role as a starter, rotational player, a non-rotational player. I think that fighting and scratching and clawing actually only makes our team better. I want the sixth man and the seventh guy to be chomping at the heels of the fifth and the fourth guy. And I want the ninth and the 10th guy to be chomping at the heels of the seventh and the eighth guy. And that type of iron sharpens iron mentality just builds in a team. I told Ticket after our first two games, he had DMPs, and I went to him on the bench. I said, hey, man, one thing is for certain. Your name will be called this season for a fact. And how you handle not playing or how you handle being out of the starting lineup directly correlates what's going to happen when your number is called. And I think all our guys need starters, bench guys, non-rotational, need to come to practice with the mindset they will undoubtedly have today, and it's to fight and battle and compete.
Kim, a number of guys, your veterans like Fulke and Josiah have talked about leadership and how it's not good enough right now. And even Fulke has mentioned that that's kind of not his nature to be really vocal. How do you help players that need to be leaders? And I know that's a team effort as well, but how do you help guys that need to be leaders if it's not really their character to call guys out and hold everybody accountable and be really vocal?
That's a great question, Vince. I also like to start a petition for everyone to have their face and background like Vince. I think that adds to the dynamic of this right now. I know most of you guys are with your coffee mugs, maybe in your bed or kitchen table, but
Thank you.
I think that's really cool. That felt real for a second here.
Thank you.
But great question. And leadership or lack of leadership is a buzzword. It's thrown around a lot, but I've been thinking about it since the game and what it really means. And we're going to talk about it today. Like, I'm going to have a hard talk with the guys about what it actually means to be a leader on a team. And I don't want to give away too much, but it's functional. It's not just leading a team through a stretch, right? It's not just saying what you want coach to hear you say in film. It's actually when coach is getting on somebody about, missing shots, let's say, coming up behind them and say, listen, bro, when I pass you the ball, man, knock that down. Like, that's being a leader. It's who's being a leader in the group messages on their phones. Are they talking about Fortnite or I don't know what else 22-year-olds talk about, or are they talking about what we need to do to stop Florida's pick and roll defense? Like, who's the leader in the locker room to back coach when coach is saying the unpopular stuff? That's the leaders. And most importantly, when the game comes, playing like a leader, playing with moxie and confidence and toughness and execution and force and physicality. Like, that's what we need. That's what we need in the worst way. And finding out who that's going to be is going to be a great next step for our team.
Well, Coach, I hadn't showered or shaved yet, but here you go.
There you go. Nice. See, that's good. I love it.
Just Missouri. I mean, I know you guys have already played them once, but what stands out about them? What's the top couple of things on the scouting report, and have they changed at all since you saw them the first time?
They have. I mean, they're running some different stuff offensively. They're running some of the things they were running better. They've got Jeremiah Tillman, I think, is playing the best basketball of any forward in the SEC right now. Drew Smith is now knocking down jump shots from the perimeter. I love Missouri's basketball team. I love the way they play. I think they're one. I think they're the 8th oldest team in the country. They're tied for the oldest in the SEC with 9 upperclassmen. I just really like where they are as a group right now. They lost a game to Mississippi State. They went on pause because of a COVID, and one of their media members asked Jeremiah Tillman what he learned from that loss. And I thought he had a great quote. He said, "We're too old to still be learning things from losses. We know what we need to do." And they've come out since then and won at A&M, beat South Carolina at home. It's going to be a really good game here on Saturday.
We'll go back to Rob, then Mike Wilson.
Well, Coach, what kind of a challenge is it when some of your most talented players are freshmen, but you've also got some veterans? I mean, how do you blend that? How do you push Keon and Jaden to maybe take bigger roles?
Yeah, I think talent is overrated in college. I think they're phenomenal prospects, but I think that their college talent meshes in well with our top 7 guys. I think maybe every one of those guys have scored 20 or close to 20 in their college careers. Their upside and their potential as prospects is obviously phenomenal, but we lean on those guys, and I think they like it. I think they want it. We lean on our older guys. I think they like it and they want it. We leaned on Josiah James last year. Eve Pons was depended on as a young guy to guard the other team's best guard. So I think it's something that it's kind of maturation by fire. I think they're coming along great. I think they're learning every practice and every game, and it's another opportunity for us to show it to them on film today and hopefully put it on the floor in practice.
Good morning, Kim. With rebounding, Folke the other day said it's so much about intensity, and he doesn't know why he and Eve sometimes lack that. Why do you think that is, and how do you coach intensity into a team's rebounding?
Nature versus nurture, right? I mean, nature helps. We emphasize it every day. Every single possession in practice, we're on the baseline, looking not at the flight of the ball, we're looking at who is down there banging. You know, guys run for no box outs in practice. They run for not physical enough box out in practice. Again, watching the Florida tape, it was a little bit of unfortunate bounces, I'll say, and I'm a very conservative stickler as I grade defensive rebounding in games, but some of it was going for block shots we had no chance of getting, which put us out of position. Some of it came, like I said, things just happen to be married in basketball. Some of our rotations led to some bad closeouts, which led to us being out of position for rebounds. And we'll watch it today. We have a rebound and edit. We'll sit down. We grade it. We grade every single guy. We grade rebound margin, rebound percentage, just like Coach Schwartz does with points allowed. We grade every single aspect of the game, win, loss, draw, no matter what. And we'll see it. I don't know. That's a question you have to ask Folke and Eve, because being a college basketball player, I couldn't tell you. It's low hanging fruit. Every single shot, look, hit, and go get the ball. And it's something we'll emphasize today, and we better do a better job of it on Saturday.
Grant Ramey and Vince Ferrara.
Hey, I don't got a coffee cup. I got Buzz Lightyear though in my son's room. Hey, when Jaden's not out there, what's the biggest thing y'all are missing? Is it his aggressiveness? Is it the way he creates for others? And if he's not out there, how do you replace that?
Well, it hits us from I guess a simple answer is the depth in the backcourt. We go from a consistent 5-man rotation of 4, and then Ticket jumps into that 5. But me personally, I feel it's an ability to hoop. Games like Alabama, games like Arkansas, games like Florida, when the game gets like this and this like this, and on offense and defense, having the ability of having a guy that can hoop, right? Like, Keon can hoop. Folke can hoop, for real. VJ hoops, but it's in the jump shot variety. So if he's missing them, it's not great. Having a guy that can hoop and can put pressure on the rim is something that we miss in that type of game.
Thanks.
Kim, Rick had mentioned that you suggested that smaller lineup with either Josiah at the 4 or Keon at the 4, and you guys hadn't practiced it much. What were some of the things that you really liked about that? Obviously, the Florida game excluded.
I just think the space. I've said for a long time, if you're not mirroring things that are going on in the NBA, you're probably behind the time. They don't have to worry about class check. They don't have to worry about recruiting. They don't have to worry about parents. So those coaches' game plan or strategy is pretty sound, because they just have to worry about basketball all day. I think as the game is going to a 5-out variety, I think if we have that personnel, and I did it. I was drafted as a shooting guard in the NBA, and I played the power forward spot in college. And what I learned quickly was, if I fronted the post and if I boxed out, I had the advantage all night long. College big men most of the time aren't talented enough just to ice you up, play out of the post all game long. If they do, that's usually not what the other coach wants to do. I think we're better when our floor is spread. It opens up driving lanes. It opens up space inside for Folke. It opens up space inside for Eve. And at A&M was the first time we had a lineup out there that was, really 4 guards. I think it was Keon, BJ, Santi, Jaden, and Eve. And it was some of our best offensive possessions of the season.
Just to follow up on that real quick, saw a spot chart for Alabama LSU the other day, and Alabama, all of their shots were either from beyond the 3-point line or in the paint. They didn't shoot any mid-range jump shots. Just how rare is that in college basketball? And what do you think about that progression?
That's been him. I said it in here before. I said that Alabama was the Mike D'Antoni Houston Rockets of college basketball, and it kind of that has turned into fruition of it's been the truth, and that's been him since he's got there. He's taken on that, and it works. You know, when you're making shots, mathematically it makes sense. But I'm a little stubborn to it. I'm a little stubborn to it because I think that in a game that is designed to take away to layups and open threes, I think there's some benefit to being able to make mid-range shots. And 2 seasons ago, Tennessee was the 3rd most efficient offense in the country, and they took far and away more, quote unquote, long twos than everyone else in the country. So again, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Pete Carrill's Princeton, Jim Boeheim's zone, Tony Bennett's pack line, Mike D'Antoni's threes. Steve Kerr and the Warriors were 3-time NBA champions, and they made a living on long twos. So again, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. I think it all comes back to, is your defense married to your offense? Like that has to make sense. If we're going to be a team that we force the 8th most turnovers in the country percentage-wise, we need to start converting those turnovers into scores on the other end. So I think it's important that your offense is married to your defense.
Coach, just to go back to the small ball stuff, I mean, is it too simple to say that when you guys do that, you get your 5 best players on the court, and kind of what's the downside to that?
No, you'd want to. The downside is that John Fulkerson and Eve Pons are both potentially all-conference SEC players, and you don't want to say you have your best players when you're on the court and kind of leave out those guys. I think who our best 5 players are can change game to game. It can change half to half. I think those top 7 guys are really, really talented players, and we just have to kind of find our rotation, trust it in spots. Give that small ball lineup a chance. When foul trouble happens, give that lineup a chance, and just keep building it. I think Eve Pons can be a small ball 4 with the best of them. We got to get his swag back and rhythm back so that he's doing it. I mean, when he was at his best last season at Kansas, Kentucky, at Alabama, Eve Pons played the 3 and got 8 offensive rebounds last season. He made threes, made 2 threes in that game. So, we have weapons. We got to get those guys in a place where they're executing and competing at a high level.
Go ahead, Vince.
You guys have missed a lot of shots, Kim, around the basket. How do you explain that or work on it when, you have very capable guys that you expect to make some of those easy shots around the rim?
And maybe I'm not a good coach because of this, but there's some things I think you don't have to coach. We'll coach it by working on it in practice. I mean, the guys aren't trying to miss layups. The guys, I don't know are you saying that from something you charted or just the stats?
No, just more the eye test. I don't have the numbers, but
they blocked 7 shots the last game, and some of them were absolute great drives by Keon trying to go dunk it. Watching film, some of them you may want to call fouls. I don't know. I don't think unless it's glaring. Like I think Arkansas against Missouri at home was like 6 for 30 from 2 a few games back. Like not from 2 at the rim, they were 6 for 33. Like I think that's a rarity at this level. I think our guys are good finishers. I think we'll keep working on finishing, but it's nothing I think you want to overcorrect or try to coach. I think there's other areas we need to focus on.
Rob?
Coach, for the most part, you guys have been the best defensive team in the SEC, but in the 2 games you've lost, it seems like just flat keeping guys in front of you has been an issue. What do you think has been the deal there when you've been so good for 10 games and in 2 games you've not been good in that?
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't be a good defensive team if you don't defensive rebound. And secondly, ironically, in both those games, Eve Pons on the bench in foul trouble in the first half, and Jaden Springer sprained his ankle in one of those games and didn't play. So you go back to the depth factor, you go back to the just being able to hoop, be competitive factor with Jaden. So losing 2 of our best defensive guys, obviously that doesn't help us as a defensive group.
We'll take one last call for questions. And as we're doing that, Coach, a couple of years ago, this team played Catan. This team is a chess playing team. So could you just give us maybe some power rankings going down the roster on who's really skilled?
About that, I thought about that. I told it to Keon the other day at breakfast, where we're in our team meal and we're all socially distanced. So it's only 2 people at each table. So that you can hear the room is kind of quiet. The adults are speaking, maybe a couple of the kids are talking to each other, but there's giggling and laughter throughout the room and communicating going on throughout the room. And it's funny how college basketball, or I guess youth and technology, go in waves. Like when I first got into college, our team meals were very talkative and we're laughing. Our bus rides were very talkative, plane rides, talking, laughing. And then when I got to the end of college in like 2012 and my rookie year in the NBA, it was very little talking. Everyone was on their phones, like in their own world, on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, reading articles. And then it's gotten back to now where they are communicating, but it's through their phones. So guys are like talking to each other as they're playing chess or Uno on their phones. But it's kind of like, you want to say get off your phone, but they are communicating. I guess the rankings are Brock and Santi are at the top, and I'm at the bottom. That everyone else is in the middle.
All right, good deal. And we'll finish up with last question by Rob Lewis.
I mean, Coach, this is kind of basic, but just, how important is it that you guys get some better 3-point shooting to open, just to spread the floor, to open things up? When it seems like, especially when Santi is cooking from outside, it really opens up things for Fulke in the post, for guys to drive. How big of a concern is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we want for sure. I don't know how much of a concern of it is, and we have good shooters: VJ Bailey, Santi Vescovi, Josiah James. I think Yves Pons is a good shooter. Those 4 guys being the best. Jaden, when he's open, is as good as anyone in the country right now. When he can get his feet set and have an open shot, we got to keep taking them. We're gonna keep taking open shots. We'll make them. That's it. It's kind of like finishing. I don't know what to say. Our guys shoot a ton of shots. They work on their game a lot. We're gonna keep shooting them, and we'll make open shots.
All right, Coach. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Tom.